Good evening from Tel Aviv. Israel has sent dozens of surface-to-surface missiles at targets in Iran's west as the two arch-enemies traded heavy blows for a third day. The assault came as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Iran would pay a heavy price for civilian deaths and even speculated that the Iranian regime may fall. Well, Iran says more than 100 people have been killed since the start of the fighting. Israel's attacks are focused on oil depots and facilities that are linked to Iran's nuclear program in Tehran. Satellite pictures show a huge fire burning at the Shahran oil refinery. In Israel, at least 10 people have been killed and many more have been injured. A missile has hit Haifa tonight and a number of other cities also came under attack. Well, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has sent RAF fighter jets to Cyprus today, and earlier the Foreign Office advised against all travel to Israel. With the latest on the fighting, here's our Middle East correspondent, Lucy Williamson.
This is a war Israel's leaders have long prepared for. Its citizens are catching up fast. Again tonight, rescue teams were out after direct hits from Iranian missiles in Haifa and Kiryat Gam. The price of failure for Israel's air defences already written on neighbourhoods like Bat Yam. A direct hit to this apartment block. The blast so destructive that 20 buildings around it are due to be pulled down. Rescue teams digging for residents trapped in the rubble pulled a 7th victim from the debris tonight. They're still digging for people missing from this apartment block. Injured residents climbing over the rubble lining the streets outside. This is a different kind of attack to the ones Israel is used to. Its Prime Minister wanted to attack Iran while it was weak, but it's still strong enough to inflict real damage.
Like just a huge boom, and after that a lot of dust in the air. Like I was able to see next to me only half a meter next.
There was smoke everywhere, Katia said. I couldn't breathe. The door just flew off its hinges. My mother is 76. She was injured in the head and had stitches in both arms. I'm trying not to cry. 3 days into this war, many Israelis think it's still worth the price. In an interview on American television, Israel's Prime Minister was asked if regime change was part of the plan.
Could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to have atomic bombs and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people will throw these theological thugs out.
In Iran today, fresh panic as Israel carried out more strikes in Tehran. Among the targets hit, the Justice Ministry. Iranian media say more than 100 people have already been killed there since Friday. We didn't want this war, Iran's foreign minister said. We were focused on diplomacy over our nuclear program, but this was forced on us and we'll defend ourselves. Last night, Israel said it attacked 80 targets in Iran, including this oil refinery north of Tehran. It says it still has many more targets in mind. US President Donald Trump wants this war to end in a nuclear deal with Iran. Mr. Netanyahu's end goals are less clear. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Tel Aviv.
Well, the Iranian government is activating emergency shelters with mosques, metro stations and schools being prepared to protect civilians. The Iranian government limits access to the country for journalists, but the BBC's Persian service provides news to Iranian audiences in Farsi. Our colleague Siavash Mehdi Adalan from the BBC Persian service has been looking at how people in Iran have been responding to these unprecedented attacks.
Unprepared for the sudden outbreak of violence, this woman tries to avoid the devastating impact of an Israeli attack in Iran's capital. Social media allows Iranians to record their experiences and their trauma. Authorities are asking people not to film the attacks or the aftermath. Many are doing the opposite. For moments of impact while caught in traffic, to cheers for the anti-aircraft personnel.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Iran's air defense, no match for Israel's Iron Dome, still manages to intercept drones that come without warning.
I haven't slept for 2 nights now. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. All this reminds me of my childhood when we were in war with Iraq. Back then, at least we had sirens and advance warnings, but now, nothing.
Tonight I wish to speak to you, the proud people of Iran.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called on Iranians to rise up and topple the clerical regime. And there is not a shortage of opposition figures in waiting, including Reza Pahlavi, the exiled crown prince from the 1979 revolution, closely aligned with Israel's administration, who sees an opportunity.
The root cause of the problem has been the regime and its nature. And the only solution ultimately that will benefit both the Iranian people as well as the free world is for this regime to no longer be there. I've been arguing this point from the very beginning, that the ultimate solution is regime change. Now we have an opportunity.
Yet many Iranians critical of the regime do not see Israel as an ally.
I'm not a supporter of the Iranian government, not at all. Really, I'm not. But in this situation, I feel a sense of unity among the people. We definitely won't back down against Israel.
Whether friend or foe, Israel has woken Iranians up to the harsh reality of war. But the future of the clerical establishment has never been so uncertain. For the Iranian people, things will get more difficult before and if they get easier. Siavash Ardalan, BBC News.
Well, this is a fast-moving story developing all the time. Let's speak to my colleague Lucy Williamson about what is happening tonight. Lucy, what can you tell us? What's the latest?
Well, every night here there have been several sirens, several warnings of missiles. The missiles keep coming and some of them do get through. But Israel has now occupied Iranian airspace for almost 3 days, taking out a lot of its air defenses and targeting a long list of nuclear sites, military sites, ministries, energy facilities. Today it said it had killed the head of the intelligence for the Revolutionary Guards, Mohammad Kazemi. Here in Israel, the head of the armed forces said Israel would increase the intensity of its operation, and that raises several questions, among them whether the US will come and help Israel to target some of Iran's hard-to-reach nuclear sites, whether the UK and others may help to come and defend Israel from Iran, and also whether Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has an exit plan for this war.
Lucy, thank you. Well, as we heard earlier, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, said today that RAF fighter jets will be sent here to the Middle East to protect British interests in the region. But what are they and where are they? Joe Inwood explains.
Now, it may not technically be in the Middle East, but RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus is the UK's most strategically important base in the region, and it's being reinforced. Now, the numbers haven't been made public, but they will include Eurofighter Typhoons and Voyager refuelling aircraft.
Royal Air Force Akrotiri is a critical forward deployable base to the UK. It's about 330 kilometres from Akrotiri through to Tel Aviv, so flight time not long at all. It allows the UK to project power and influence within the region.
But it's not the only UK presence in the Middle East. As well as the RAF base in Akrotiri, there are also 2 army battalions at another base in Cyprus. The UK also has a naval base in Bahrain with 4 mine clearance vessels and a Type 23 frigate. Also, the HMS Prince of Wales carrier group has just passed through the region and is still nearby. Also, there are special forces, although their locations are a secret. Now, the Prime Minister insisted the reinforcements in Akrotiri were for contingency support, but the government's refused to say whether it might, as it did last year, help protect Israel from incoming Iranian attacks. Now, Iran has said that if they do that, UK bases could well be a target, and they would be vulnerable.
For the UK, there would be a considerable risk for its facilities that were within range of Iranian weapons. As I mentioned, the UK doesn't really have much in the way of ballistic missile defence itself.
But for now, the message coming from the UK government is for de-escalation. They say that these reinforcements are to protect existing assets that could well be vulnerable in an increasingly unstable region.
Well, tonight, President Trump has called on the two sides to reach an agreement and even suggested that a peace deal may be within sight. It's also emerged tonight that he rejected a recent Israeli plan to try and kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. That has come from three senior US officials who've been speaking to our US partner, CBS News. Donald Trump at the moment is on his way to Canada to take part in the meeting of G7 nations that's happening, and our North America editor, Sarah Smith, is there. Sarah, what do we know about this assassination plan?
Well, it is being reported that when this was put to Donald Trump, the idea of trying to kill the Ayatollah, he flatly vetoed it. And senior administration official has described the thinking this way, saying, have the Iranians killed a single American yet? No. Well, until they do, we are not even talking about going after the political leadership. So that was very clear. I mean, America is involved in this conflict to an extent because they're helping to defend Israel. They have been shooting down missiles that have been aimed at Israel. But today, Donald Trump has been at pains to stress that America is definitely not involved in the attacks on Iran. Now, there are people in Iran who frankly do not believe that, and he had one very clear message, though, about trying to involve the United States, saying if we are attacked in any way, shape or form, the full might of the US armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. So he is very eager to warn off Iran from trying to involve America in this conflict. And of course, when all the G7 leaders come here in Canada, that's what they're going to want to talk about, de-escalating this conflict, making sure it doesn't spread more widely through the region. And Donald Trump does seem to be remarkably optimistic about the idea of getting a peace deal done. He says it won't be difficult, it would be fairly easy to resolve this conflict, and he even seems confident that talks can go on that were happening between America and Iran about trying to stop Iran ever developing a nuclear weapon. They were called off today when Iran pulled out, but Donald Trump's view is that what's happening now, the conflict, actually might make a deal come quicker, he says.
Sarah, thank you. Well, it is at this time of night, it's after midnight now here in Israel, that people both here and in Iran start to brace themselves. They've seen heavy attacks for the last 3 nights. There's no reason to believe that tonight is going to be any different, particularly when you hear that international diplomacy doesn't seem to be having any impact